All right, so this is like the fifth, sixth, fourth, or whatever event or video for the Next Generation Business Network. I'm here with Raylie. She's super cool. She placed third in the Finance Operations Research event. And by the way, she is also like the president of Nebraska DECA. So that's also important. And today we're going to be talking about kind of the process that you would need to go through to apply as a state officer. And we're also going to be talking about the Finance Operation Research event. We're going to ask her about how she approached that and what she would do for this year, so that if you guys have any questions about those topics, you can go and do well. So, Rayleigh, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit before I ask you the first question?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Raylie. Um, I'm a senior at Miller North. I am the Nebraska president. I've been in DECA for 4 years. Um, yeah, that's my introduction.
Simply summarize how the DECA state officer application works, like what are the credentials that you need, and then also what advice would you give to a candidate who's about to take on this role or try to apply for this role?
Yeah, so how it started is around like December, they start sending out these applications, they start going on social media. So that's something you want to watch for. Um, but they send out this like 3 page long application and you basically fill it in and you say like why I want to do this. And it's just like a basic application. It's not hard. And you send it in. At the back of this application, it gives you like study materials. So that's for like in a month ish for the screening. So what you do is you get screened to be like an officer. So if they don't think you would be great candidate, they'll like pull you out before you even get to state. So you don't even have to run, which is actually kind of nice. So that happened in, I'm gonna get my dates wrong. Happened like a month after. And we went into, I drove to Lincoln, so it was like an hour away. And we met with the people, the future people that would actually be on my team, and then the two state officers, and then the board members. So we had to prepare a speech, and then we had a Q&A where they just like rapid fire asked us questions. And then we had like a test we had to study for, and it was like just DECA terms. So it was like, what are the four categories? Or, yeah. And then it was like, who are your state officers this year? Like, you know, the information for when people ask you. Um, but yeah, so that's how like that kind of worked. And then we got screened and then we ran for it at state. So like we had our booths at state and everything. I wish I would have worked better on my time management because at state I had my project, which in my head was my number one priority. But like once I got there, I was like all in to running for state that I just forgot about my project and it wasn't too good. But, and then like on top of that, you had the role play situation. Um, so it was very like go, 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 go. And I just wasn't really prepped for that. They like sent out a schedule and everything. I just wasn't prepared to be like doing all of this. So I would definitely say, well, first, have your project memorized before you go into state, please. It that stressed me out so much. It was so bad. Make sure you get lots of sleep because I didn't sleep at all, and it was also not good. And just like be prepared that you're going to be running around if you run for state office. I know it's stressful, like no matter what, you're competing, you're going in front of people you don't know, but it's going to be like an added situation
Yeah.
if you run for office. Yeah.
Okay, so I believe that the application deadline is January 10th for New
Oh,
York.
there you
It
go.
it may
Perfect.
be January 10th for Nebraska as well, and I don't know if the application is open yet, but I think something that's a really big part if you want to run for officer is how you approach the test, the interview, and the presentation. So there's going to be two different parts. The presentation is going to be a 3-minute speech that you give to the members of DECA, And the interview is going to be when you're asked a bunch of questions and kind of like a screening process um, by the people who will decide overall if you're going to be the president or not, or any other position that you choose. So, my question is, what were the key points that you focused on during this 3 minute presentation, and how did you tailor it to resonate with the nominations committee?
Yeah, so when I was writing my speech, it was kind of like really late at night. So when I actually got up to do my speech, I didn't exactly copy what my speech was saying because I also like just hate looking at cards and copying exactly what I said. So I would say like be comfortable talking about what your values are and what like premises you're running on, because that was something that was very helpful for me, not having to just read the cards. But I mean, I guess that leads into it. I talked about what I wanted to do for the year, the impact that I wanted to have on Nebraska DECA, and then like my values and such like that. And I kind of went through, I kind of told a story throughout my whole speech. So I like started when I was like a freshman, how I got into DECA, and then like how I ended up running for state. But 3 minutes does go by really fast. And I know it's 5 for New York, but 3 minutes goes by really fast. So you just need to make sure that you're saying like valuable information in that time because it does go by so fast.
Yes, Rayleigh's the president of Nebraska DECA, but she also placed third in the Finance Operations Research event. And I was thinking about going into this event. I know other people are interested in it, and I was hoping that we could kind of talk about what you did for your project and maybe how you would approach this year's project. So for this
Yeah.
year, you're supposed to write a plan based on research for a company, and this is a hypothetical plan as you don't need to have actual ties and networks with the administrators of that said company, but the research itself has to be real. It has to be something that you created. At least I believe so. I'm not sure. So
Yes.
how
Yeah.
did you approach your event last year, and what would you do for the event this year?
Yeah. Okay. So something that I want to start with that is like misconstrued among all of projects is that operations research is all the same thing. So whether you're working with a company that is like a jewelry company or an accounting firm, you're like operations research, you're all doing the same information. It's just whether what company you're working with that's going to mix up your category. But besides that, so last year I worked with a local accounting firm and they had issues and tried to solve those issues. I would say my biggest regret from last year was not starting earlier. So I reached out to my business like November, and I genuinely think that if I reached out earlier, my project would have been so much better because I would have had so much more time working with the information they gave me. Yeah, that's my plan for this year. I've actually already reached out to my business. It did take them a while to respond. That's why you need to reach out early because it took them like a month to respond.
What would you
Yeah.
say is something that, well, I guess I'm gonna build some context for this.
Go for it. Yeah.
I've interviewed four different people so far, ICDC winners, and a lot of
Okay.
them, well, four different groups, and a lot of them
Mm.
said that picking the right event was the biggest part of their success. So this question, I feel like is really important. What ideas or topics should people have? Like, should people have an understanding of or an interest for, and what skills would be necessary for this event?
I'm like a marketing girl at heart. Like I not very big into accounting, and I only went into accounting because I knew it was going to be like a good business to work with. So, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't very interested in my project last year, but like my motivation was not there. And I do have to say I'm so much more excited about my project this year, and I am so much more motivated to actually do it. There were a couple late deadlines last year, but that's okay. Um, But yeah, so I definitely think based on your interests, I know that you can find a project in these five like categories. If you want to do operations research, you can find a project that interests you. So, like Ethan was talking about how he's interested in financial consulting and that stuff, he could do financial awareness or FOR. And like this year, I'm going to work with a jewelry company, so I'm going to do Be More. And it's like, I think you can find something you're interested in these categories no matter what. So I would start with finding a business. So, like, don't do your research, don't do that. Find your business and then do your research. Because once you have your business, then you're going to be able to tailor the research towards that business so much easier than if you researched first. If any way, like applicable, you want to try and stay in contact with your business, because I know last year I had one interview with my business and then I tried to reach out to them again and they like would not respond to me. So that's something that you want to talk about in the interview is like, if any way possible, like I would love to keep in contact with you because I'm going to need you later on. And there's so many things that would have been so much easier for me to receive from the company than me like trying to find it deep in the web. But
Yeah, yeah.
I think that would be something big. And I know I said it before, time management, please. Like, I'm telling you, you want to get that paper done at least a week before. At least. Because trust me, it's like horrible.
I think those are all good ideas. So, Rayleigh, I thank you a lot for coming on this interview. I hope everyone the best who wants to become an officer and uh, approach this event.
You're so welcome.